My thoughts on looksmaxing. Well, I think that it's a reflection of on society. I think that it shows that women are going downhill. I think that it shows that they're becoming more shallow, more materialistic. They're more sexual, than ever. Um, if women looked for good men, they could find them easily. There's good men everywhere because men have to be good by default. We don't really have a choice because we gotta work. Women don't. Women have more time on their hands. Women are just more privileged, period. By means of they just have the ability to be at ease. We don't. So they, based on that ability, they, a lot of them uh, just kind of sleep around, just kind of look for, instead of trying to be a good mother, trying to be a good wife, a lot of them just look for hot guys to hook up with. Sorry to say, that's just the truth. But it's more than that. Women want status. They want money. They want guys who are powerful and strong and dominant and all that crap. It's true. It's really real. Um, but at the end of the day, if women were loving and they chose to be loving and they chose men for, who we are in our heart, and just who we are, falling in love is not, people just make it so messed up. They take falling in love and they make it into something that it's not. Like, oh, well, you got to check off all these boxes. We have to have these things in common. It's like a blueprint or something. And it's like, that's not what love is. It's meeting somebody that you're attracted to, fostering care and feelings for that person, not playing games, being genuine. I think that most relationships are doomed before they start because women are chasing things because women don't know what love is, and they're chasing things, and men are just trying to be whatever women want. Men are very simple creatures. We're just left, right, yes, no, red, blue, stop, go, green, you know, green means go, red means stop. We're just simple, right? Men are very, I hate to use the word pragmatic because I like using the word pragmatic for women more. Men just do what women want, if that makes sense. We think women want a buff guy, so we hit the gym. We think women want a guy who has more money, so we try to make more money. We're just simple. We just do what we think women want, and we do whatever works, right? But the problem is that what women want isn't love. What women want are like all these other things. And that's the problem that we always fall into as a society, as a race, whatever. And what ends up happening is women just settle for like the best situation, the best lifestyle, the guy who just, they almost always settle for comfort. So they're coming into this relationship thinking, how is this going to benefit me? And that's backwards. You want to go into a relationship loving the other person, right? Period. That has to be the foundation, because everything else can change. Your money can change, your lifestyle can change, the person can get sick. Not only that, why would you want to be with somebody just for a lifestyle or just for the money or just because you're comfortable? I mean, yes, attraction has to be there or else everything else goes away. But I just argue that it's not love, right? I think love is, it's not that it's not there. There's love there, but it's like way on the back burner, It's way on the back burner. It's like all these other things first, I think with most women, unfortunately. And a lot of times what I see is women who are less attractive, they're the ones who tend to be more, who tend to settle, who tend to be less materialistic because they don't have those options. They don't have the power in the dating market that women who are better looking do. And so guys just do whatever we think women want. And if guys are out here looks maxing, if guys are, going to great lengths to get surgery and doing all this like thumb pulling and what's it called, mewing and all this stuff and facial surgery and crap. I like hitting the gym because it's healthy, right? But that also can be kind of an addiction, or it can be kind of a, these things can take your soul from you. They can take your happiness from you because you don't have self-worth, when you have this, it's, I guess you call it body dysmorphia or whatever, but all that really is like, you just don't love yourself. You're not happy with who you are. And it's sad, I get it, nature, I'm not the best looking dude. I'm not horribly ugly. I'm not the best looking dude. Some women think I'm attractive, but I'm appreciative of. I'm thankful I'm not less attractive. I get it. Like, nature can just screw people over, and it sucks. When you want. We all want to be loved. We want to be sought after. We want to be confident. We want to be attractive. It makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. There's more to life than it, than that. And what's sad is that we get caught up in these addictions. Sex addiction is pretty common. Sex addiction is common. And a lot of the problem with, a society that is overly sexual is that it tends to place emphasis on that. Whereas we used to have, forget about what we used to have. Forget about that. It could be and should be is based on family, based on love, based on community, friendship, togetherness, those types of things. When you have that type of thing, it brings in inclusiveness. And when you have a society that's based on materialism and looks and sexuality and sexiness and this porn culture that's really kind of an underlying poison in our society, you take away the individual, the worth of the individual, and all that really matters is, the ego and the narcissism and the status and you can't get status if you're not good looking. And we used to have this in the 90s where like celebrities were always good looking, super good looking, and like you turn on the movies and they'd always be, not always, but it was a thing, is like, in order to get into the movies you kind of had to be good looking, kind of, not always, but sort of, but it was a major part of it, a major part of like Hollywood and celebrities, and they called them idols, which is crazy, they call them stars or whatever. A big part of that was looks, and it was charisma and personality. Like, these things are not love. These things are not joy and happiness and what humanity and life is really about. They can come and go as well. You look at a lot of these celebrities. First of all, they die all the time, which is, everybody's dying, but it's like, you think they're going to live forever or something. I don't know. It's just that whole concept of celebrityism is really, really strange in humanity, as opposed to family, right? we just have these jacked up values, you know, and Hollywood's is a big culprit in that. It's a big causation of that, where we lost values, you know. Um, and you know, it's kind of evil, honestly, because you're just focused on this thing that really isn't going to make you happy ultimately. It's not going to, I mean, you know, I've had periods in my life or times in my life where I've felt really attractive, or I got a compliment, or I had some sex or whatever, and hooked up with a girl, and I felt like I was on top of the world. It's always fleeting, you know. It's always fleeting. I'll trade in every one of those moments for a good woman and a good family, you know. But that's hard to do. It's hard to find, you know. It's hard to find. And I think that's what's happening, is that men are not able to find a good woman. Men are not able to, you know, meet and have a relationship and develop a bond and develop love and have good sex, you know, in that love relationship. Now, I'm not talking about hooking up. You know, you can have good sex if you're hooking up. That's true. But that's not the point. The point is that that type of sex, even though it might be good, it's fleeting, right? Love, that's the point of marriage. And I don't even like to talk about marriage, because marriage is jacked up. We'll just talk about a relationship. A long-term relationship, it should be based on love. And yes, sex is a big part of that. But when you love somebody and you're in a bonded relationship where you're bonded with that person, and there's trust and there's good communication, and it's not, it's not based on these games, you know, playing these games. One person's playing too hard to get, or one person's cheating, or it's just so messed up that, you know, out there. There used to be this website called The Dirty, and it got taken down a couple times. Actually, it got taken down once, and then like it came back on, and then it got taken down again. But it's called The Dirty, where like anybody could write anything about anybody and put it on there, and you could put people's pictures on there, and you could, and I would just go on there and I would just look, and I'd like just look at all these like people who were screwing other people over, because this is kind of what, and that's why the website got taken down, because it was kind of, there's this legality issue where like people were kept suing them, because it's like, hey, you can't just, you know, that's slander. I don't know, whatever, but you can Google it. It's called The Dirty, thedirty.com. Anyway, but I would go on there and I would look at this, and it was like there's a lot of like just gorgeous women, and they had the most worthless behaviors. Cheating, screwing people over, you know, escorting, doing cam stuff, porn, you know, all that stuff. And it's like, beauty is like, you know, like they say, beauty's only skin deep. It's like, what do you have on the inside, you know? But my point is that people are just so degenerate and ruthless in these days. And it's like, where's love? Where's, you know, you can go hook up, and you know, a lot of guys want this, you know. We all want sex, right? Guys want sex, right? And women do too. It's just that women are more, that, you know, they pretend like they don't, because it's a game they're playing. But you know, guys are very sexual, we're very clear about it. That's what we want. We're very sex driven, and women are sex driven too, but in a different way. They use sex. They manipulate with sex. They use sex to get what they want, and they love sex. And it's a catch-22. Like, yeah, on the one hand they use sex to get what they want. On the other hand, they have a lot of sex. So it's both. So they're taking advantage of their sex privilege on the sexual market by having a lot of sex, and feminism freed them up. Feminism was their get out of jail free card, or whatever. Feminism was their excuse not to have any morals. Oh, men are bad, so we can go have a bunch of sex. Okay. You know, feminism is the reason they threw away their conscience anyway, right? But you can do that. You can go have a bunch of sex. You can go enjoy that for a little while. But it's just at the end of it all, it's like, man, I don't got anybody to hold. I don't got anybody who really loves me. I don't got anybody who, you know, is down for me, who has my back, who's intelligent, who will support me. I mean, like, that's really what we need in this life is for somebody to go through life with us. And marriage has become like this contract where it's like this blueprint where, like, well, this is why it's going to work. It's become like a business. This is why it's going to work. And it's like, I don't know if I need a piece of paper to bind me together to somebody. If you have my back and you love me, I mean, I guess, you know, from a consummation standpoint, okay, well, we have this paper now. It's official now. Okay, it's with the state or whatever. Which, again, the red pill community, we talk about that. It's dangerous. Lose half your stuff. Get cheated, manipulated, whatever. Right? Sure. But on the other hand, it's like, what do you need that for? If somebody really loves you, you could just bond with that person, and you could just stick with that person and stay with that person. That person stays with you, and you just live your life together, and you love that person, and they support you, and you move in, and it's good. There's this foundation of love and care and mutual support, and it's kind of like a team, but it's not like 50-50. Oh, we're both putting it. It's like, no, it's like she's my home and I'm her home, you know, like that's what it should be like. And I don't see that happening with a lot of people. I mean, I see it happening, but I mean, it does happen. It's out there. It's not talked about. But a lot of it is just, a lot of this culture is becoming so bereft of, you know, love. And it's like, yeah, when you have nothing else but sex or trying to be cool or whatever in this culture, it's like, you don't love yourself. And hey, if it works, it works. You know, if you can mew or whatever and thumb pull and, you know, maybe that stuff works. I don't know, you know, I've seen before and after, but then it's also, on the other hand, like, the devil uses a lot of that stuff to make young people miserable. He wants people to have low self-esteem. He wants people to feel hopeless, you know, and I think of a lot of young men out there who just aren't good looking, and they just got, you know, they got screwed in the genetics department. They're not tall, or they're not strong, or they have some kind of, you know, I've been struggling with a disability for 20 years of my life. You know, I've always been tall. I got lucky in that. I'm decent looking, I think. You know, but my disability causes me to not have any energy, because I have a sleep disorder, and so I have no energy because my hormones are all out of whack. Because when you don't sleep normally, your hormones get all out of whack, so you have no energy. You can't do anything. It's hard to work out. It's hard to stay consistent. It's hard to, can't hold down a job and things like that. And so it's like, I know how that feels for the last 20 years. And I've lost women over it. I've lost opportunities. I've lost a life over it, you know. And yeah, it's like you just gotta try to. So it's. I know what it is. You gotta try to, and I struggle with it. But after a while, you realize, man, I don't. You know, there's got to be something else. There's more. There's got to be more to life than just this type of success. And, you know, also it exposes the fact that women should love men for more than that, for more than just our success. Where's the woman who's down with me, when I got nothing, right? Why do I gotta, I spent a lot of years collecting clothes and crap, and a lot of them got moldy and dusty and just wasted years, being stupid and, let me dress better, then maybe I'll get a girl. But it's like, why would I want a girl who likes me because I got cool clothes? It's just, I don't know, you get caught up in this stuff, and so I could see like young people. I mean, imagine just spending like 3, 4, 5 years trying to like make your face look better, and it's like that's your focus. And gosh, man, it's like, what a waste of life. I think, I don't know. I mean, maybe it works. Maybe it'll make them happy. I don't know, man. I don't see it. I just think it's sad. I think it's a reflection that we're just going downhill as a society. And it's sad too that women, I think there's guys out there who are decent looking, but women just don't, because women don't approach men. Women never give guys compliments and things like that. So there's guys out there who are decent looking, who are not, who just don't have any confidence because they've never, because women don't play, because women are always playing this leverage game. They're always playing this power game. They're always trying to have all the power. So they won't tell a guy if they're actually attracted to him a lot of times. Or they might be attracted to a guy, but it's, they're looking for that 8 out of 10 and above. A guy might be a 6 or a 7, but he's not an 8 or a 9. I'm looking for the 8 or the 9 or something. So it's just, it's all skewed and it's all messed up. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it's sad. I think a lot of young people are really desperate. But I think we need God, It's hard, though. It's hard. It's hard because God's kind of boring, honestly. Being moral, having a righteous walk and life, it's kind of boring. And you get horny, and I think people are addicted to sex these days. A lot of secret porn addictions, a lot of, and it's everywhere with social media. There's women, there's the way women dress today, it's everywhere, and it's like, and then you feel like you're left out. You feel like, man, I'm not having sex. I must be some incel loser, This whole society, and it rewards the most degenerate behavior. We're making porn stars celebrities now. Women who, women are being worshipped just because they're sexy or whatever. And imagine, I don't know what it does to women, right? Imagine, I don't know. I don't think women are that depressed, actually, but I think some of them are. But I think because they get so much attention and guys want to sleep with them so much that it's like, it kind of makes up for it, Whereas, like, you do take a 4 out of 10 woman and she's probably getting laid as much or more than a guy who's 7 out of 10 in looks. Probably more, way more probably. So it's all skewed, it's all messed up. But yeah, I think it's unfortunate that's my take on looksmaxing. I think it's a reflection of a degenerate society. But if it works, it works. Hey, cool. Good for you if you do it. It's tempting, but I look at it, yeah, as a reflection of a sad society on the one hand, and then on the other hand, I look at it like it's kind of like celebrityism. Like in the 90s, like everybody wanted to be a movie star. I remember that. I remember everybody wanted to be famous in the 90s, and now with social media, it's people are kind of somewhat getting the attention that they always wanted. It's in a kind of weird way, but it's different now. I think now people, I don't know. I don't think people want to be famous as much as they used to, which is weird, but I think it's like People want to be good looking. People want to be hot. People want to be attractive. And it's like, you can do a lot in the gym. That's true. But at a certain point, it's like, and yeah, it sucks if you're just born not that good looking. But there's all this, but again, it's a reflection on women's choice, choosing. It's a reflection on women's, you know, the way they treat men, and I just think that a lot of people aren't having sex a lot. A lot of people aren't having relationships. You know, the statistics don't look good, and because of that, people are going to extremes to try to get it. It's almost like you got to be a celebrity, you know, metaphorically a celebrity in these days to get a woman, you know. I don't know. Because, you know, back in the day, the 90s, it was like not everybody could be a celebrity. It was like very rare to be a celebrity. So, like, but now it's almost like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's almost like it's easier to be famous in a way, because anybody can get a camera and get on YouTube or get on Facebook or something, and they, you know, it's almost like, it's weird. It's almost like it's easier to be famous now, but fame isn't as potent as it used to be, I guess, if that makes sense. But you know, I think ultimately, again, the underlying thing what I'm talking about here is hypergamy. I really think that that's what it is. I think that ultimately it's like the reason why guys are trying to be better looking is because women aren't choosing guys if they're not super hot anymore. And this is my theory, is that women are joining harems. Women are joining harems. Meaning the hot guys are just getting all the girls. Like the guys who are 8, 9, 10 in looks, they're getting all the girls. And at best, the guys who are below that are getting the leftovers. At best. At best, they're getting what's left. And they have the potential to be like the cleanup guys, where, like, you know, maybe a woman, you know, after she's done riding the cock carousel, she'll settle down with them, maybe, you know, after she's had her fun and sown her wild oats, then she'll settle down with a beta provider guy. So, yeah, man. I mean, it's all the same. It's all the same stuff, but it's just intensified the last 10 years. You know, I've noticed a big shift the last 10 years where women just went from, you used to be able to get, you know, a decent looking woman like before, like, say 2014, but then like after that it was just like something changed, something shifted, where like women just went, their hypergamy just ramped up. And we're seeing it statistically. You know, I don't know what the exact statistics are, but I think it's something like 60% of people under age 30 aren't married, don't have a spouse. I don't know how many of them are virgins, but I think it's a high number of, like, I think it's like, what, Gen Z, is it? Gen Z, I don't even know what they are these days. I'm a millennial, which for us was Gen X. Before them was the boomers. It's Gen Z, and then Gen Y. I don't know what the hell they are, but they're not having sex, and they're not getting in relationships, and they're not getting married, and they're not buying houses, right? So that's the reality of of the younger generation, you know. And even the millennials are struggling. Gen X is probably doing a lot better, but since the boomers, everything's just crashed. You know, it's all gone downhill. People are not doing that great. So I think we're going to, you know, it's all just signs of the end times, really. I think it's all just going downhill. But yeah, I think that women are going to have a wake-up call at some point, and they're going to have to say, you know, I don't know, I just think it's too tempting. I think it's too much fun to be a woman these days. It's too much, It's too much sinning. They're just sinning too much, and it works. If you're a woman, it's like you're a kid in a candy store. You can get whatever you want for the most part. You can't, what you can't get is real love, though. That's not easy. What you can't get is real love from a really quality guy. And I wouldn't even say high value, all that crap. Just a quality guy, a guy who's a good, honest, loving, genuine, real person who isn't, in scarcity mode and desperate and just, a lot of times that's what we're seeing these days is a lot of people are just desperate and they're just, I don't know how many people have really found real genuine love anymore. I don't know. I'm not saying it's nobody for sure, a lot of people, but I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. It's hard to see it. I guess it's hard to. Maybe it's happening and we're just not seeing it. It's just not as visible. But maybe they're just enjoying it and they don't talk about it. I don't know. But it's hard. When I look outside, when I take notice, it just seems to me like a lot of people are. Oh, I'm too busy for that, or they're hooking up, or they're depressed because they're lonely, or I don't know. I don't see a lot of happy people in good, genuine, loving relationships, but maybe there are, and I'm just not. People just aren't talking about it. I don't know, but the statistics don't look good from what I've read. Now you could say maybe the statistics are lying. Maybe it's a psyop. Those statistics are a psyop. I don't know. But yeah, looksmaxing to me is a symptom of a sick and degenerate society. And when young men are going to great lengths and doing dangerous stuff and surgeries and stuff like that, it just seems to me like their priorities are out of whack, but their priorities are out of whack because women's priorities are out of whack, right? We don't focus on love anymore. We don't focus on family, which is sad, I think it's sad. I think our generation's really missing out. We had our hands in the cookie jars, but the cookies were poison, right? We thought, oh yeah, we could just go live this degenerate lifestyle and it'll be all good. But you reap what you sow, man. If you sow to the flesh, you reap corruption. That's what the Bible says. If you sow to the flesh, you reap corruption. And I think so many people out there, and just because you're good looking and healthy and young, people get away with it. And the devil allows people to get away with it for a long time. I think that's true. I think it's true because he uses people. He uses, good looking people, or he uses sex and things like that. He uses it. But I see a lot of women aging really poorly, So it takes an effect. Not all of them, but it takes an effect, And yeah, a lot of it has to do with just lifestyle choices. Like if you're eating healthy, you're not exercising, whatever. But that's true. But I also think that when you're sowing to your flesh and you're sinning and things like that, you do reap a kind of corruption in your body. Like you just don't look as good. You're just, something gets off. Anyway, people tend to, I don't know, hard to say, but I also think it's hard to really enjoy love and enjoy life and be a good person if you're just, if you're sinning. And I think that, it's a reflection of our lack of values anymore, So if men are trying to just be materialistic and be hot and all this kind of stuff, it's like, and I've definitely been caught up in it myself. I like to work out because I just enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I like seeing results. I like being athletic. I like being in shape, and it's very healthy. I love that about it. But also, I've definitely looked in the mirror a lot and thought, oh, I wish I was more shredded, or I wish I had better abs, or I wish, and it can get to a point where like you're kind of like, it's vanity, I guess is the right word, is a somewhat correct word, vanity, but it's also like a, I don't know if I use the word malady, but it's just almost like low self-esteem. It's like, I don't know, man. It's hard to enjoy life when you're just always trying to be better, always trying to look better, and like, it's hard to be happy. It's not really love. Like, I don't know. And then it's also probably a reflection that people don't have a lot of friends. People don't have a lot of people who care about them or accept them or love them for who they are. They're just trying to dress cool and be cool kind of thing. And people lack social skills, things like that. They lack the ability to have friends, and I don't know. It's sad, man. That's kind of my take on it. I just think it's sad. I think that kind of a reflection of vanity, but then also social media is damaging. Social media has all these, I don't know if you use the word it's kind of a false life. It's almost like it's lying, on the social media, like, oh, look at my cool life, and all my pictures are amazing. I had all these cool videos, fun videos of me and my friends, and we're all happy, and we got money, all this stupid. And yeah, we've been doing it for the last 20, 30 years. This bling bling, like, look at all my money, I remember the 90s, how just decadent, I guess is maybe the right word, but it's just vanity, shallow, materialistic. The rappers and the celebrity, oh, you look at my diamond and all this stuff. It's just dumb. I don't know. I mean, I think in some ways we've gotten a lot better. Like, a lot of people have got more down to earth, I think, in some ways. But then, yeah, I think young men just have it hard, honestly. And it's hard, and it's true. It's true. Looks, money, and status is true. I talk about it all the time. It is true. That's what women want, and it's sad how materialistic they are. It's sad, you know. Guys deserve better. We do, because life's hard enough. You got to work hard. You got to support yourself and make money, and it's hard enough, And then you got to, on top of that, you got to be born good looking. It's like, what if you're just not? You're screwed, And it's just sad. It's like, people deserve love, We're supposed to have love. We're supposed to have intimacy and sex, and yeah, you can do a lot with exercise, and you should exercise and get in good shape. I think that's a duty of everybody, period. And you will get better looking if you exercise and things like that, and you will be healthy, and you will feel better, and you will be more happy, period. Those are facts, and you should, and you definitely should. But also, it's like, where's the love? Where's the care? And that's on women, honestly. I think a lot of it's on women. So again, looksmaxing to me is just a reflection of women's preferences, women's choices, shallowness, materialistic, and things like that. That's my take on it. Appreciate you listening. Peace.